The master fader is something we need to constantly refer back to make sure we're using enough of the available headroom without introducing clipping or distortion. It can be switched between a couple of different modes: peak, VU, and PPM. When it's set to peak, the signal is measured in dBFS, or decibels relative to full scale, which tells us if we're going to peak into digital clipping. This is absolutely essential to know when mixing digital. 0 dBFS is as high as we can go, or we'll run into all kinds of weird digital distortion. Next, we can switch into VU mode. This gives us an average level measurement, which gives us a good idea of overall loudness. A mix that is actually really weak sounding can be peaking really high on the peak scale, but really low on the VU scale. Finally, we have Ppm mode. Ppm stands for peak program meters. Again, this shows us the peak levels for our track. I like to switch from VU to peak mode so that I can view both the average and peak level. On an average audio waveform, the average and peak level may be only 3 decibels apart, but on some audio material, like the human voice, there can be a difference of 10 dB. That's what compression is for. One of the problematic things in the modern digital studio is how to monitor your mix without a separate mixer. You don't want to be messing with this master fader because you want to monitor at a lower level. You may have tried assigning a knob to the master route in other sequencers, but doing so makes the master meters all but useless. On the back of the master section in the rack, we can switch the cables so that the control room out goes to our main outs. Now, the control room knob on the mixer controls our volume, and the master volume is still pumping away at 0 dB. So even though we've turned the volume down or up, there's no questioning the gain structure of our mix. Right now, we're listening to what's coming out of the master, but we can listen to what's coming out any of these effects ends and hear the returns. I can just click Effects Return and select 1 here. Hit Master to switch back to the main mix. Finally, if someone walks into the room and starts talking to you and gets a little angry with you because you're not listening to them, there's a handy dim switch here to cut the level by 20 dB, so you give that person your full attention.